Yo, what it do, Sumani crew? It's your girl, Sumani. Welcome back to another episode of Bag Talk with Sumani, the podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for clicking on this week's episode and for listening. For my video viewers, y'all already can see I'm looking a little bit bald-headed because I have a sleek bun, and I was trying to, do a Sophia Richie. I posted a TikTok, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But I'm actually living for it. It just looks a little bit funny because of the lighting, but I think I look very classy, etiquette, professional. It's giving. I like it. How's everybody doing? I want to catch you guys up to speed because if you guys did or did not notice, hopefully you didn't notice, but the real ones did. I did not post an episode last week, and so I kind of want to give a reason as to why. The reasoning as to why I did not post last week is because, and I'm so excited to say this, I am a full-time employed girly. I have a job. So woo, yay. Thank you. I'm super excited. I'm officially a part of corporate America, y'all. And I know some people are probably like, why are you cheering? Because, babe, y'all, I think I've even done podcast episodes about this, but if not, just my friends and family know how badly I wanted a job. And just because coming fresh out of college, that's the one thing that you want, you know what I mean? Even though it's nobody wants to work, but I did. I wanted to have a job. I wanted my degree to amount to something. And what I realized is that things take time and patience, and I think I want to do a whole episode on patience because I have countless of stories to talk about that topic in general, but this episode is going to be about routines. But before we do that, I'll tell you guys a little bit of a story time of basically how I got the job and things like that. So I didn't post because last week was my first week of training, and so I was, number one, exhausted. Number two, wanted to try to figure out my schedule, my routine of how I was going to, multitask my job and doing this and being consistent, because that's consistency is key to everything and anything that you do. Whether you're trying to lose weight and work out, you have to be consistent with it if you want to see results. If you want to grow on social media, or if you want to do something, the only way to lock it in is through consistency. So that's something that I've struggled with this podcast. I've mentioned that before, and I really, especially since I'm doing video format and stuff like that, I want to actually lock in and make something out of it. So I was like, okay, let me figure out how I'm going to be able to, what my schedule is going to be like, how tired I am, so then I know what I need to do in order to get to those goals, or, be here recording for you guys. So that's why I'm even if it's a late episode, at least I'm doing it and it's up for you guys, because I'm still trying to be consistent. I'm still trying to learn and figure out my way and figure out my routine and things like that. So please bear with me if I upload on a Tuesday, which I'm going to try my best not to, or not to skip a week unless something, urgent comes up. But yeah, so that's why. So I'm not going to be giving out the company I work for or anything like that, but I will tell you guys that I am a part of recruiting and things like that. So basically what I'm doing is that I'm hiring people for certain companies and clients and things like that, which is really cool. And I'm damn, shout out to the recruiter who recruited me to get this job, who I currently work with, which I love him so much because that's literally why I'm there. You know what I mean? He found me on LinkedIn. So if you guys are not on LinkedIn, if you are a postgraduate or just looking for a job in general, something of I wouldn't even say that it has to be corporate America, because you'll be surprised at how many retail stores or anything like that post job listings on LinkedIn and on these websites, instead of you just having to walk in person, let's say, dropping off your resume. They do have applications online. So I definitely would recommend for anybody who is looking to get a job or work or intern or anything like that, definitely get on LinkedIn. Start off little if you need to by connecting with people that you know, and then also branch out into just connecting with people in the area or who you see are mutual connections with other people. Definitely do that and search for jobs on there. I know as well, Monster is good to post your resume and look for job listings. Indeed. Those are the only ones I could come off the top of my head. But basically, so the sun just went down. Y'all see how the lighting changed right now? Anyways, so basically how that came about, I graduated in May and I just started working in last week, August 28th. And this is my first ever big corporate America job. I did work somewhere else with my dad, and I worked there for in a year and a half, but I wouldn't necessarily, it was corporate America, but not. Like, I'm actually here downtown, like, having to drive to work, having to walk in these, you know, corporate offices and buildings. Like, I'm seeing, like, big names, big company names in the same building that I am for, like, their headquarters, which is just, it's the dream. It's what you want to, where you want to work once you have a degree. Or, you know, when you think of people with CEOs and jobs and things like that in these companies, you picture those type of headquarters. So to be amongst that just space and area and those type of peoples, you know, everybody's wearing a backpack, everybody has their suits or their like dress shirts, and it was just, I felt like a sim. It doesn't feel real. I'm like little old me, like I'm having like a lot of imposter syndrome, which I know a lot of people who I'm friends with who are working these corporate American jobs and things like that, or just working in corporate offices, they're having a little bit of imposter syndrome, because it's like, where are we even like of that caliber? But like we are, you know what I mean? Like, I know how to fit the part, I know how to play the part as well too, and more than honored to be a part of the part, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of happened. I was reached out on LinkedIn, and I went through a series of interviews, phone calls, and I've had a lot of rejection this summer with certain jobs, and to the point where it messed up me mentally. Like, I did not believe myself. I did not think that I was qualified for anything, because, you know, you hear no so many times, and it's like, well, if these people, or especially jobs that you think that you would be perfect for, you know you can do, it's like, if these people don't even like see the value in me, or are telling me no, then what job is going to take me, and what job that will I actually want to do is going to want me to be a part of that organization as well. You know what I mean? So it was just that, and I was like, you know what? Let me just leave it out of my hands and up to God. Like, literally, I like damn near gave up. Like, I stopped kind of searching for jobs, and I just like, I mean, I still, like, if I saw something that caught my eye, sure, I would send my resume, but I didn't have any hopes for anything anymore. I was like, you know what? I'm lucky enough to be in a space where my family supports me right now, and they understand the job market, and they weren't urging me. Like, I didn't need to get a job right then and there in that instant, you know, moment, which is not the same case for a lot of other people, which I'm aware of. So I was just lucky enough to, like, you know, be able to be still living with my parents, and, you know, them being okay with that, basically. And then I got reached out to early August, like literally right before my birthday. And I was like, okay, like this could, but it was sounding like the same process and like phone calls that I've had with other places. So I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up about it. I'm just whatever. Obviously, I prepared, and that's a whole thing. Like, I prepared differently this time around for this specific interview, because I was like, you know what, there has to be something that I'm either saying or doing wrong that is like getting all these people rejecting me, basically. So I was like, okay, let me actually take it to YouTube and look up, like, you know, for my desired position, I was like, questions, so I know how to respond, how to answer them, what to say. And the number one thing that I was getting wrong, so this is a tip for everybody. Tip number one is to go to YouTube. If you are trying to prep for a job or an interview, go to YouTube, search up that position's name and put, or position title name, and put questions or prep questions or interview, so you know kind of what to expect, because it's relatively all the same. So that's what I did. I, you know, took notes, had like a little cheat sheet, so I know like talking points of what to say. And I honestly feel like that is kind of what helped me, because I didn't do that with any of my prior interviews with other companies. And the number one question that I was getting and answering wrong was the first one, which is, tell me about yourself. I'm a storyteller. For those who know me, y'all know, and for people who listen to the podcast, y'all know I don't shut up. Y'all know that I can talk and talk and talk for ages, and I'm very descriptive and stuff like that. I be trying to give people my whole life story, and that's exactly what I was doing when I was answering that question. I was like, oh, so I'm an eldest daughter. I'm like, I have 2 younger siblings. I'm like, what else do you want to know? Like, girl, they don't care. They don't want to know that. They want to know, how are you valuable to their organization and then their company? But so I was like, but that's not, you're asking me about me. Like, you're not asking how can I be beneficial to the company. So finally, when I watched a YouTube video, they were like, no, that's how it's a trick question. Like, you have to answer it like this. I was like, okay. So I tried it. Oh my God. It worked. I mean, I got hired. So I recommend, for anybody who is trying to be on the job market, number one, find a job. If you get, if they look over your resume and you get scheduled for an interview, definitely go to YouTube, or if you have a mentor. But if you don't have a mentor or somebody who's recently been in the job market searching for jobs and knows like how these interviews go to YouTube. I literally was gonna post a video that was like how YouTube got me my job, because damn near. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of guidance, and so within that amount of time frame, I got hired and now I work. Isn't that crazy? It's not a crazy statement to say. I mean, I'm so happy and grateful to say it, because I'm like, college is worth it. You know what I mean? I'm like, this degree got me this job, y'all. Like, but yeah, so that's kind of been an update as far as to why I haven't posted and things like that. So definitely my schedule is going to change, but what this episode is going to be about is routine, right? So let me not waste any more time. So the reason why I want to talk about routine is because it's something that I'm currently having to implement within my life. Like, even if this is a late episode and things like that, I got it out, right? I want to stick to that schedule of posting on Mondays, and I'm going to have to sacrifice certain things. There's Leo Skepi's podcast that is Aware and Aggravated. I definitely recommend any of my viewers to go ahead and watch him, because he speaks real. Like, I relate to him so much with just like his mindsets and how he thinks, and he also just brings new perspectives. So I'm gonna have it linked up in the description of this episode for you guys to go ahead and check it out. But I love his stuff. Very educational, insightful, love it. But he had brought up in one of his podcast episodes that, like, talking about how you get to success, or how do you achieve your goals that you want to achieve and things like that. And it's because you have to sacrifice. And I'm like, that's so true, because the time that I started my YouTube channel and things like that, I was not shopping. I wasn't going out a lot. Like, it was just literally work and home, work, gym, and home. And I had my routine of going to work, going to the gym. As soon as I got out of the gym, recording a YouTube video, post it. And that's what my life was like for literally, I want to say, for a lot of months, until I quit my job and started going back to school. During those times is when I saw the most growth within my channel. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's because number one, I was consistent. Number two, I made sacrifices of not having to go out or staying up late and editing these videos, or, recording more than one video in one day, and just, making those sacrifices and changes that I needed in order to get me to where I wanted to be, right? And it was a routine, like I said. So that's what I feel like routines are. You have to sacrifice, especially if you want to set a routine that has a goal, or if you're trying to set a routine that you're trying to like accomplish something with, you need to sacrifice something, right? So before, and something that I'm like trying to implement into my life now, is saying no to people, right? When to say no, when to not burn yourself out, and when to put yourself first. I have big FOMO, which I did not realize like what FOMO was until 2 years ago, I think, is when I found out what the acronym stood for. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Like, if that was one word to describe me in middle school, 100%. Anytime that I would see my friends hanging out and I didn't get invited, I was like, great. Like, I bet they had so much fun without me, or I bet it was probably the best hangout, or they did something cool. And then every time that I would like talk to them afterwards, or talk to somebody that hung out, they're like, nah, it wasn't nothing, it was boring, or oh, this party was boring. I'm like, oh, so I didn't really miss nothing. And that was like crippling. Like, I had crippling FOMO. Like, I couldn't even be on social media when I saw there was a party going on and I wasn't there. Oh my God, I was sick. And I feel like still to this kind of day, I'm kind of like that, but not as much. I wouldn't say within the most recent like year, but I would definitely say throughout like college, just because I was very much to myself during my college years and college times, as you guys know. So whenever I would see other people on stories, either going to the clubs, which they were doing underage, but that's a different story, whatever. Going to the clubs, going to parties and stuff like that, I was getting FOMO, because I was like, oh my God, am I not living the college experience? Like, you guys know, I've talked about the college, quote unquote, college experience and what that is, or what that's supposed to look like, and that stereotype on countless episodes. So I'm not even going to get into that, but yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, is my college experience like sucking, because like I'm missing out on all what the rebellious things you're supposed to do in college, like find a lover, do this, or go out and underage and blah, blah, blah. Illegal shit, really. I was wondering, at the end of the day, none of that was worth it. Like none of that mattered. Everybody who I've talked to that participated in shit like that, they're like, yeah, it was whatever. I'm like, oh, So it's just like, you ever know when people go to parties and on Snapchat they'll record like that one part that everybody's jumping or singing along, like to Sheck West Mo Bamba, and then and admit it, you've done it too, because you know what, I have. To make it seem like it's lit when really you about to leave in the next 10 minutes because it's a bust. Like, I have done that. I have seen people who have done that too. So this is a no judgment zone, but everything is not what it's made out to be, I would say. And so learning how to say no to things in order, knowing that it's going to benefit you, and it's something that I am trying to still get comfortable with. You know what I mean? So as I've gotten older now, and especially now that I have a job and things like that, there are certain situations where I kind of feel bad that I can't attend to, but it's just because, like, I'd rather do this for me, or I'd rather record an episode or record a reaction video or clean my house or get situated in a meal prep for my upcoming week, rather than, you know, go grab a bite of food and waste. Because me, when I hang out with my friends, it's always quality, and we always like hang out for like 5 hours longer. Like, we'll go out to eat, but we'll stay at the restaurant for 3 hours talking shit, and then we'll find something to do for 2 hours right after. You know what I mean? Or we'll sit in the car for an extra 2 hours. Like, that's just how my hangouts with my friends usually go, and they can literally, you know, like attest to this. But so sometimes I'm like, oh, I know if I ask this person to hang out, my schedule basically for the day has to be free, because I hate having to cut things short, or having to be like, oh, okay, well, I gotta go, because I'm like, oh, I feel so bad, or oh, I don't want to leave. Like, that's where me and discipline kind of have a horrible relationship, because I'm like, well, I'm in charge of me, so I can sacrifice something like that I need to do. I'll just, you know, procrastinate, or like, you know, suffer just to hang out and hang on to this fun 5-minute or conversation that, and finish this conversation. And that's not something that I want to continue doing. You know what I mean? It's all about like just knowing yourself and disciplining yourself and sticking to your routines. Like, some things and some people you can't, I don't want to have to risk that, or risk what I'm doing. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm missing the correct terminology or word that I'm looking for. But yeah, and it's not necessarily on the person. Like, I'm not blaming the person. It's 100% my fault, because it's like, Suly, you could have easily said like, okay, I gotta go, and leave and go do what you have to do. But I don't do that. I'm like, no, but I'm having so much fun, so I'm gonna stay. You know what I mean? So that's just an example of having to tell people no. And more importantly, I think the main thing is having to tell yourself no, and being like, no, you gotta go. For example, in that situation, like, no, I have to leave now, because if not, I'm gonna be late, or if not, this is gonna bite me in the ass, and I'm gonna have to be struggling till 2 o'clock in the morning doing this, or I just know myself that when I get home, I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? That's like the 3 options with me. And so I'm trying to get into the habit of just planning wisely and choosing wisely how I spend my time. It's all about time management, really. When you're talking and discussing about routines, it's all about how do you spend your time, right? Because I could be in the shower for like an hour plus. Yes, I'm like a lobster. I like to burn, take them hot showers, put on a whole playlist, sing my heart out. I could be fully already washed with soap, and I'll still stand there under the water and just think, or just sing. I'll do whatever. And that's wasting time. But me, that's like a decompress and like a joyful moment. I love when it's time to take a shower at night, because I'm like, oof, this is time to myself. And my mind literally goes blank, because I'm not even on my phone. Like, you know, it's no distractions. It's just thoughts, right? And I love that. I value that time. So I try to be in there as long as I can. But, you know, if, let's say I was on a tight schedule, for example, like when I come home from work, right? Can't believe I can say that. But when I come home from work, you know, I can't be spending an hour and a half in the shower, because I'm going to need to cook dinner. I'm going to need to, you know, either watch a TV show. Dancing with the Stars is coming up. Okay. And that's my show. Okay. So on Mondays or whatever days at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m., I got to be already seated on the couch. You know what I'm saying? So my shower's got to be cut short, and I need to go to sleep early because I got to wake up early, and it's all about planning, time management. And I feel like that's not something that comes with adulthood, because I feel like you already kind of practice that with school, and especially in high school. but it's something that if you have no strictness or discipline with it or a good relationship with it, it's going to bite you in the ass when it comes to adulthood and having to be in your 20s and actually having much bigger and more responsibilities than doing your homework. You know what I mean? Or going to practice for a sport, which, not belittling that, but you know what I mean. With that, I'm like, what's going on in my head right now is because I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out my routine. I need to have my routine with my podcast schedule, and I want to have guests. So I'm like, okay, certain days I have to plan to have people, come here and we film and I edit it, right? And then I'm like, okay, then I also need to have a schedule with uploading videos, right? Fridays, I work. Fridays are when new music drops. And I'm like, okay, I could make the sacrifice, which I'm going to try to do as much as I can, is make the sacrifice of staying up until 11 p.m. on Thursday nights when music drops, because it drops 12 EST, and recording a video. And usually recording videos, if they're not albums, are quick for me, but the editing takes a while. It takes like about 40 minutes. Then you have to export it. Then by the time all of it's uploaded and ready to be published on YouTube, it's like 2 hours have passed by. So usually I stay up till like 2 a.m. either editing or posting just a YouTube video, or 1 a.m., right? And that, I'm like, okay, in order for me, I'm going to have to make that sacrifice and then get back up, ready to go to work. But I work from home on Fridays, which is good. But be ready to work, you know what I mean? So whether I'm on like a good night's rest or not, that's whatever. I made that sacrifice in order to have my YouTube video posted already, boom, by Friday morning. You know what I mean? And I've done that before, so it's not like I'm scared of doing that. I know what it takes, and, I know how it is, but it is a sacrifice rather than like a full good night's rest, as some may say, right? Or, for example, if I need to go ahead and record a video on Saturday or something like that, like not, I guess, hang out with friends or doing whatever plans I had for like a Saturday brunch, let's say, and saying no and being like, no, I can't go out. Like I have to Saturday, even though people were like, Saturdays you go out, go to the club, have fun, get drinks, blah, blah, blah. I may need to skip out on that, and that's okay. I'm working. If I want to get to where I want to be, or if I want my life to look like the life I envision, I'm going to have to make these sacrifices. I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to have to miss out on a couple of things. But at the end of the day, it's all adding up towards my end goal, my end vision. And I feel like that's so hard sometimes when you're doing it, because you're like, ugh. And especially if you're not seeing traction on anything, and it doesn't even have to be social media wise. It could just be going to the gym or something like that. If you go Saturday mornings and stuff, and then you go out, let's say clubbing that night and have drinks, then it's like, ugh, I just canceled it out. But it's like, no, keep going, be consistent. Or if not, go to the gym on a Saturday and don't go out that night and see if it makes any difference in how your body shows up. Or going to the gym instead of 5 days a week, going 6 days a week, or all 7. You may not see that instant growth or have that instant gratification of like, this is worth it, until later. And I feel like that's the hardest thing when you're doing things like this and making these sacrifices or trying to have a strict routine, even though I don't feel it's strict, but having a routine, it's all like, is this benefiting me in any way, And then especially when you have those moments that you're like, I could skip out on one day, or I could, not do this at this time, or I could skip out on doing that. You don't think that it's going to affect your routine, but oh my God, every time, at least for me personally, every time that I'm like, I won't do that today, or I'll skip out, one day's not going to bother, I never do it again. I'm like, great. Then you see 2 weeks pass by and I'm like, damn, I don't want to do this, or I don't feel like adding this. That's like me with my Invisalign. I have nighttime retainers. So every time that like I'll be on a good routine and habit of wearing my retainers, I only have to wear them at night. And then I'll be like, I'll either like not wear it for one night, and then a whole month or 2 passes by and I'm like, I haven't worn my retainers at all. Like, great. And then I'm like, damn, I don't feel like wearing it because I know it's going to hurt because my teeth probably shifted and shit like that. It's annoying. And you don't realize, you think that because you were consistent for like a month or 2 and you're like, I've been wearing them, so one day is not going to knock me down. And sure as shit it does. Makes all the difference, right? So that's with anything, I feel like. Any routine that you have set and then you like skip out on one day, you're like, it's not going to make that much of a difference. Boom, your whole thing, 6 months pass by. Oh my God, where's your progress? Where did everything go? You're set back 30 steps back, right? From where your journey and where your goal was, or where you just were. And it's not worth it. It's not worth all of that hard work and then you messing it up because you decide to break that routine. And every time, I feel like any person who has a routine and then breaks it regrets it. Don't sit here and tell me that you don't regret it, or you're not like, oh damn, if I should have just stayed doing what I was doing, or be consistent, or why did I do that? Tell me. Everybody has had those moments. Anybody who has had a routine has had that moment and being like, fuck, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, so let's figure out how to avoid doing that. Stick to the routine. Granted, there are situations where like things come up and you like may be physically not able to do what you need to do or break your routine, but hopefully you already have this relationship with your routine that it's a habit. You know, habits are different from routines. Habits are just things that I feel like are subconsciously you do because your body's accustomed to it. It's like muscle memory, right? A habit like biting your nails, like you subconsciously you don't know that you're biting your nails or biting your lip or some shit like that. You know, those are categorized as habits. But I feel like a routine, you could do it so often, or it's so embedded in you that it becomes, or you could label it as a habit. At least that's what I want to get to, that level of labeling my routine as a habit, because then I know it's strong. You know what I mean? Routines I feel like are necessary, and that's my whole kind of point of this episode. I feel like I've kind of jumped across, but it's important. You have to say no sometimes to certain people or to certain things and choose yourself and make those sacrifices if you want to see that success, growth, or goal be met and vision be made right in front of you. At the end of the day, the goals that you have, nobody else can accomplish them but you. You know what I mean? And I just feel like having a routine just makes life so much easier and better in the long run. Sometimes it may be hard and you may not, like I've been saying, you can't see that vision when you're doing it, right? But it's always back in hindsight. Once you accomplish whatever set out goal, or once you break that routine, then you're like, damn, I didn't realize how grounded that routine had me, that how disciplined that routine had me. Or, you know what I mean? Sometimes that is your sense of comfortability and normalcy. When you're put in a different environment, let's say if something happens and you have to be put in a different environment, now, you know, how do you make yourself feel comfortable, or how do you make yourself get back on track is through a routine. It's the same thing when you start school, right? Every August when people start school, you have summer and you don't feel like going to school because you dread it. You're like, oh my God, but I was just doing whatever I wanted, like during summer, like I had no responsibilities or whatever the case may be. And now you have to start back up, waking up early, start back up packing lunches, start back up going to after school clubs, start back up doing homework and get into the routine and habit of doing your homework when you get home from school or whatever the case may be. And that's your sense of normalcy for those 9 months. You know what I'm saying? And then for those 3 or 2 months, however long your summer break is, then it's gone. And it makes it harder for you to get back into every year. At least that's what it was for me. And I feel like many of you would be able to relate to that. But yeah, it's a sense of normalcy. And I feel like when you're put into different environments, when I lived in LA for 3 months, my mom and I, my mom really was a gym head or a gym rat, whatever you would call it. And she went to the gym every single day because she physically needed to for her health. And so when we went to LA, what was our sense of normalcy? We didn't know anybody. We didn't know the area or anything like that. But we found a local LA Fitness and we started going to the gym every day. And surprisingly, adding that into our routine, besides just like, you know, going to the gym and having those endorphins and all of that, what it naturally does for your energy and your body, aside from all that, makes you feel accomplished. It makes you feel like if you did something, and it makes you feel like, okay, that's a routine. Every day at 12 p.m., we're going to go to the gym or whatever. Or, oh, we got to eat lunch at this time, or we have to make breakfast at this time, because if not, we have the gym. You know what I mean? It keeps you grounded, it keeps you disciplined, and it allows you to feel comfortable in unfamiliar spaces or environments that you may be at, especially like right now, a whole new apartment. How am I supposed to feel like if I'm at home? I got to implement routines, or I got to like, you know, do things that make me feel the same things that I would do at my house, I got to do here. Because if not, why am I going to change my whole routine? Or sometimes when I go home on the weekends, like for example, I was just home at my parents' house this weekend, I rotted away, but I didn't do anything. And I felt weird because I wasn't, you know, up preparing for the week or doing stuff for work and, you know, recording a YouTube video or something like that. because that's my sense of routine. That's my sense of normalcy that I'm trying to build. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I hope so. But I hope this inspires you to start a routine and, you know, say no when you have to, take those sacrifices when you need to in order to benefit you, and to do things that are going to benefit you and help you in the end, because you're the most important person. You got to be the most important person to yourself in order to be great or be successful, or, you know, just be the shit and do what you need to do, get to where you want to be. Implement a routine. That's why I love seeing on TikTok, before we even end this episode, I wanted to include this, but I love seeing on TikTok like people's routine, like my weekly routine or hair routine, skincare routine, daily routine, morning routine, nighttime routine. I love that type of content, and I feel like a lot of people do too, because it does so well on YouTube and on TikTok. Not only is it aesthetically, because it's the same thing that you can expect, but it's just nice to see the variations of how people live their life. And I feel like a routine is like scientifically needed. Like, you know how we have like a biological clock or something like that? I don't even know what, I'm probably not even using the correct terminology, but like, I feel like it's in our nature to have some set of routine and standard, kind of how like there's like a clock with time. Like we need some type of ruling in some way, and I feel like a routine will do that for you. So hopefully this episode inspires you guys to get a routine, get started. What are you doing? You know, and I love being spontaneous, but at the same time, babe, spontaneity comes in waves and is only acceptable in certain situations and certain times. You need to be having a routine. Morning routine, night routine, hell, lunch routine, daily routine, everything. Gym routine, whatever you want to. Shower routine, yup. You know what I'm saying? You got to do it. In order to get to where you want to be great, successful, all of it, implement some type of routine and start there. Start a routine, see what it does for you in 4 weeks, 30 days. Then get back to me. Come right back to this video and be like, okay, I'm starting this routine. Come back a month later and be like, this is how I feel, or this is the improvement that I've seen. Set some type of goal or metric for you to be able to track your progress, because I guarantee you will make some type of progress for whatever it is. Okay? So shit, I might even do the same. I'll be like, guys, I started doing this and this is where I'm at. Let's see how many videos I post, right? On time with my new routine that I'm going to implement into my life, okay? Let's see. So I'm going to hold you to it, all right? So that's basically all I have for this week's episode. I hope you guys found something insightful, useful from this episode. You know, I love being able to help y'all get to where you need to be, because we're on this journey together. No bullshit. I'm trying to make it out, and so are y'all. You know what I'm saying? With my little bald-headed self. Anyways, so yeah. Thank you guys always again for watching this week's episode. Y'all already know, make sure to go follow the podcast Instagram at Back Talk with Sumani on Instagram. I'll have it linked down in the description box for you guys as well to follow. Be sure to check out all my other past episodes. I'll have it carded up here in the video format, or if not, you guys can go ahead and just scroll, click whatever episode that you would like, and make sure to catch up if I ever do fall behind, so you guys are all up in the mix, okay? Y'all already know if there's one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a selfie and talk my shit, all right? Remember to take care, stay safe, be kind, and get in your bag.